You are in a glass dome, several kilometers above the ground. Blue sky fills your vision. Beneath you is a floor of golden metal. A deafening klaxon blares in warning against something. A familiar-looking stasis chamber lies in the center of the dome. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out is this the exact place where we land or not. A familiar-looking stasis chamber lies in the center of the dome. A chest fashioned from synth and cold iron sits to the one side. Behind the pod, a diamond hovers in the air, scattering prismatic light. A pedestal glows near your hand, a deep azure blue. There is nothing that seems to warrant the blaring klaxons, yet you know the alarm sounds for a reason. Look at the chamber. It's the ghostly woman's stasis chamber, the real one from which the labyrinth's constructions were made. The changing god's daughter lies inside. Her skin is pale and there are dark circles around her eyes. Her chest rises and falls as though she were sleeping soundly. This laboratory, this body, must belong to the changing god. Touch the pulsing light. The pedestal dims, and a man appears in front of you. He's not all there. You can see the clouds and a vista on the other side of him. He looks worried.
We have a problem. It's here.
His mannerism reminds you of the spectre from the labyrinth, though his face, clothing and voice are not the same. What's here? Why are the alarms going off? His face darkens.
The sorrow is here. It found us somehow and now it's trying to break into the lab. We need to get you out of there.
How close is it?
It's at the tower base, trying to break its way in. I wouldn't expect that synth steel door to hold against it. Once it gets through that, we have the hope the electrostatic barrier or the plasma window will stop it.
He rubs a hand on the back of his neck. You get the impression he doesn't have a lot of faith in either of those defenses. What exactly should we do?
I strongly advise you to save yourself, thus saving both of our minds. Unfortunately, that would mean leaving her.
He looks at the chamber and frowns.
I don't like it any more than you do. The only other option I can think of are that to someone stop the sorrow by force, unlikely, or figure out what it wants.
He shakes his translucent head.
I don't think we have enough time for either, but maybe you know something I don't.
He points at the hovering diamond.
Maybe you can find something in your archives to help us. Just be careful what you research in there. We don't have any time to waste.
Okay, open the synth chest. The chest is locked with a keypad bearing 17 strange symbols. You're about to lose hope when you realize you know which symbols to press to unlock the chest. You enter the correct code before the memory can slip away. The chest opens with a soft click. The only items of note inside are a wooden shaft with multiple colored crystals tied to one end, a large hemisphere made of azure steel. Okay. Garden crystals. There's nothing mystical about the wooden shaft, but the crystals at the end is definitely from a fire world. I think you might be a domination rod. Crystal saps the will of the creatures it touches. Sure. Azure steel. It's heavy, too heavy to lift by yourself. Your best guess is that it's a wall protector of some kind, probably brought up here as a defensive measure for the laboratory. Fortunately, you can't see any indication of what kind of a barrier it could create, nor any way to activate it. The diamond. Now speak to the man. Diamond. As soon as you approach the diamond, the top of it blooms open. An illusory globe appears within, words and images feed across its surface. A woman's voice speaks directly into your mind. Welcome back. Please state your query. A wave of familiarity slams into you. Changing God used this as an archival device. He kept records of his thoughts and experiments. Specific records can be retrieved by speaking search terms. Alarm, escape, tight, changing God, sorrow, daughter, domination rod, wall protector. Previews of several entries flick through your mind. There are scores of results and you can't figure out how they're organized or how to quickly ascertain whether an entry will be useful to you or not. It takes some time to shift through them for something useful. You'll have to careful you will have to be careful what you spend your time researching. Finally, you find one that's what you're looking for, a male voice. The voice of the body you're wearing speaks in your mind. A picture of the azure steel dome from the chest appears on the globe inside the diamond.
The panel was not easy to find. There are no visible seams anywhere, but it's easy to open once you know it's there. As soon as I found it, I had the trans-dimensional wall protector moved to the new laboratory. I don't know what exactly destroyed the old location, but I know it was trans-dimensional in nature. The projector should create a barrier large enough to surround the entire dome in case whatever I was hunting, it was comes hunting again.
Um, Go back to the synth chest. Activate wall protector. You find the panel mentioned in the archives. Once you know where it is, it slides open easily. You place your hand on the back of the glass inside. It grows warm at your touch, and there is a smell of a light rain. A low hum murmurs the edge of your hearing, and the air outside the dome begins to shimmer. The shield appears spherical. You can only hope it will buy you some time against what's coming. Archives. Sorrow.
I don't know what the sorrow is exactly, just that it is old, really old, and it doesn't pay much attention to established laws of space-time. I wonder just how established those laws really are. Anyway, I first came across mention of it in my research of the tides. It appears to have some kind of a guardian against tidal abuse. Evidence suggests it may have been solely responsible for the destruction of one of the prior worlds. My experiments with consciousness transfer appear to have woken it. I don't believe it's after me specifically, but I have come to believe it was responsible for the destruction of my previous laboratory.
Consciousness transfer. Of the tides.
The tides have proven to be an extremely fruitful path of exploration. The Bath don't realize what they have unearthed. They saw these trinkets as just mere Numenera, but these forces may even have the power to turn back death itself. I certainly hope so for her sake.
Consciousness transfer.
The consciousness transfer was a success. I transferred Mika to a new body first, a clone of her original. There appears to be no ill side effects after several days, so I performed the procedure on myself. I'll be watching both of us carefully over the next few weeks, but thus far I'm very hopeful. I'm sure there will be unforeseeable long-term effects, but for the moment it seems I have found a way to stave off death itself. I cannot imagine any long-term effects that could outweigh that benefit.
Mika.
Mika's condition has not improved after the consciousness transfer. If anything, it has worsened. I've traced the cause of the weapon I retrieved from the Tabad after their failed siege of Sega's cliffs, but damned if I know how to undo its effects. I don't understand. I should be able to figure this out. I will figure it out. I just need more data. I discovered a theoretical process to merge my consciousness with hers, but I just need more data. With luck, I can run experiments in the next few days. There's a thunderous boom. The floor shakes and sways beneath you, causing you to lose your balance. Outside the dome, the horizon tilts back and forth, giving you a sense of vertigo. A spectral man appears in front of you suddenly, a look of human terror on his face. It's broken into the tower. It's only a matter of time before it reaches us here. We have to do something fast.
I can't do anything. Merge consciousness. There's only a single entry for that query, the same entry from when you queried the word Mika. The entry said he would try it in the next few days, but that entry is dated several months ago. If he did try it, he never entered anything about it in the archives. Maybe the spectral advisor knows more about it. What happened when I tried to merge my consciousness with Mika's?
You don't remember? I guess that's why you made me.
He chuckles, then his face grows serious.
You never tried to merge your consciousness with her. After researching it for a while, we discovered that doing so would snuff out your personality. You weren't content with me being the only one of us left, so we rejected that option and kept searching for some other way.
We could try to merge my consciousness with hers. Why though? Domination rod maybe. I want to suggest it because I don't think I can get anything too interesting out of this. Can I merge with my consciousness with hers?
Making a note.
I'm afraid we can't. We rejected it before we could implement any kind of experiment. We'd need some kind of psychic substrate to your consciousness and hers to reside in simultaneously. Then we'd need a catalyst of some kind to create a resonance that would merge you with hers. It's certainly possible given time, but the sorrow's at our doorstep.
I can't really do much. Can I do the stasis chamber? Do I want to open it? Why would I want to? Maybe we're gonna get a little bit more information out of this before the shit hits the fan. Domination rod? No matching entries. Escape.
I won't take any risk with this new body. I've initiated a fail-safe procedure to transport me away should something happen to me in the old laboratory. If any unforeseen danger presents itself, I should be able to escape to a backup location.
Suddenly there is a tremendous popping sound. The air sizzles, causing every hair to stand on end and your entire body to tingle dangerously. The spectral man appears in front of you again. It puts its hand on your shoulders, though you feel nothing.
It shattered the electrostatic shield. If it breaks through the plasma window, we're done for. What's your plan? You've got a plan, right?
I don't really have much of a plan. Just reading some archives while we're waiting. daughter. Ooh, I don't see that going anywhere. Closing guard, alarm. Let's see the alarm then. Yeah, okay. Changing guard, bath. Just, I don't really see anything useful here. Maybe I can do something with this chamber. I mean, she's fucked no matter what.
Hey, what are you doing? If you open that, Mika will die.
Right. Why is the sorrow here? What does it want?
I couldn't tell you what it wants. Maybe there's something in your archives. You told me we woke it up somehow when we first did our first consciousness transfer.
I guess I'll just read the archives then. The Tabat.
The Tabat were foolish. They were skilled scavengers gifted with the luck of having discovered the underspine. I still don't know what the underspine is, but I'm convinced it came from the Dalad, the same people from which I gleaned the power of the tides and figured out the key to consciousness transfer. It's the best explanation for the Tabat's success. Without the underspine, they are little more than humans of above average intelligence.
The Dalad. Unlike the other entries, this one is not in your voice, but at the female voice it belongs to the archival diamond itself. The Dalad people are believed to have existed long before the Ninth World. Dalad is probably not what they call themselves. Their true name is unknown. They made great use of a force referred to in these archives as the Tides, using them especially to affect individual psyches. Civilization of the Davat did not decline but was completely wiped out by a creature called the Sorrow. So the Sorrow must have destroyed the Dalat because of how they abused the tides. If the weapon that caused Mika's illness was from this same civilization, then it stands to reason her illness is tidal in nature, like a tidal surge perhaps. If so, maybe there's some way you can undo it. The spectral advisor might know more. There is a hiss and a screech beneath the floor. Suddenly the metal hatch flies off its hinges, cracking the strong glass ceiling and then smashing the glowing pedestal. The spectral man's image disappears. A foul black cloud rises from the hatch, and the air is filled with an unearthly wail and the stench of rotting flesh. Tendrils lash out, slicing metal and seams wherever they touch it. A terrible face emerges from the cloud. It examines you, then it turns its attention to the chamber. Use the domination rod. Yeah, nothing. The sorrow turns its horrible attention to you. One of its tendrils darts toward you, slicing through both of the strong glass wall and steel floor. It reaches your face and you feel nothing. The tendril goes right through your body. You realize that the dome is fading away. No, your body is fading away as some device tucks it safely away to another location. The sorrow's unearthly wail becomes a shriek. Though the spectral advisor is gone, you hear his voice in your head.
Thank goodness the failsafe kicked in. You'll be safe, though the girl and I are doomed. I'll be easy to recover, but Chief, I'm sure you'll...
He's cut off as the sorrow's tendrils flay the laboratory all around it in a blind fury. The chest and diamond are cut to ribbons. Their chamber disintegrates in a ball of purple flame, and the last thing you see as your mind fades from this body is the face of a young girl, melting and boiling into ash. A ghostly woman appears next to you. She stares at the door you just emerged from, her eyes as round as the moon. I remember now. All of it. I told you I was aware of everything while I was in that chamber. I remember my father abandoning me. I remember too how you risked your life for me. After the sorrow destroyed the stasis chamber, I woke up here in the labyrinth. I wasn't aware though, not for a long time, not until you came and started changing things. Uh, Started changing things? She looks at you, her eyes are brighter now, full of confidence. You are the last cast off, the one my father created to witness this place, to command it. You have been changing the labyrinth since you were first born. You are the one who will decide our fate. So you're not just a memory. No, I'm not a memory, nor a reflection, nor a lacuna. I am Mika, the full consciousness of the changing god's daughter. In the mirror, the advisor said we could cure you by merging your consciousness with your father's. Her eyes widen. Could it be? Yes, the resonance could be used for that. She shuts her eyes with a wince and says, but it would require all of your consciousnesses, not just my father's. No, I cannot ask you to do that. Yeah, I don't think that's worth it either, honestly. But I couldn't save you. You tried, which is more than I can say for my father. You risked your own life. Besides, if you had died in there, you and every other cast-up would have never existed. Maybe there are some realities you can't change. Yeah, I understand all that I need to, so what do we do now? Familiar voice cuts through the air, interrupting you both. You don't need to do anything. I hope you... It's the Spectre. I hoped you would open that for me, and here we are. Spectre says, and his voice is not tied to his body. It pours from the walls around you, from the shifting floor beneath your feet. It's time for some hard truths, child. Before he can finish, the air twists in the room, an explosion of light, and a scarred figure steps out of it. First cast off. How's this for truth? The resonance is mine. It belongs to me and all cast-offs. I have worked too hard for it to be otherwise. Stand aside, old man, and let us determine our own destiny. His smile is kind of disconcerting. Your destiny? You are a part of me. Your destiny was never yours to determine, and the resonance is not yours to claim. He gestures a hand in your direction. Only the latest cast-off can open the door. That body and I are the only ones capable of using the power beyond. You are out of your depth, Marilyn, and this is no longer concerns you. He ignores her and turns to you. I need you to open the door, and you've done that. The cage I can handle on my own. His voice passes down on you like a hand, as if trying to drop you to your knees. When I enter the resonance, it will be to return my errant children to my mind where they belong. Leave me to it, and we have no further quarrel. What say you? You think someone who calls himself the changing god would learn from his mistakes. Irritation flashes across his translucent face. I'm not here to debate who I am or what I've done. I'm here to claim what's mine. The ground rumbles menacingly beneath your feet. And what is that exactly? He looks at the ghostly form of the changing god's daughter as if noticing her for the first time. His surprise is brief, chill wind whipping across the darkness between you. You're her ghost, the one that haunts me. My daughter is dead. Do you hear me? I can't bring her back no matter how hard I try. Is that so? The woman has nothing more to say, but her brow crinkles just slightly. She's confused, as though she doesn't recognize the spectre as her father. He shakes his head.
Enough. I don't wish to bite you, Casta, but neither will you keep me from this. What will it be?
Ooh, we have two decent options. One is the daughter. You can save the daughter. That might convince him. Or the resonance is not yours to claim. The real changing god died when I was born. You are just a backup of his memories. That's true also, though. Chalcedon.
Ridiculous. I've served our sire for centuries. This is him.
You speak in simple terms, the spectre says, arching an eyebrow.
But you're dense, even for one of my Castas. I am the changing god and you are standing in my way.
Rin, if you were truly this changing god, then this woman, she points to the changing god's daughter, even if this woman's were just a memory, she should recognize you as her father, don't you think? Min looks kindly on the ghostly woman, then back at the spectre. But I saw it. I saw it on her face when you challenged her. You are a stranger to her. Spectre flinches and turns to face her. He meets his eyes blinking once and shakes her head.
You are not her,
Spectre says. Then, with more force, he repeats himself.
You're not her. Of course you don't know me.
He turns his head from her entirely, staring into the dark. He shakes his head. Okay, we might be able to salvage this somehow. Okay. The changing god wouldn't have lost when we fought. Maybe. Be honest, don't you have any doubts? You need me in ways the changing god wouldn't. You could not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door. If there's any heir to the mantle of the changing god, it's me. I've been able to change the path through the mirrors ever since I awoke. Consciousness needs to be continuous, you're a copy. Okay, does he actually believe that he is the changing god? That's the question. Don't you have any doubts?
Of course I do. Your careless creation has left me trapped here. I've had to fight for every inch of control.
He turns grim eyes to the darkness above. I remember speaking to you on the moon. You're not the changing god, you're an assistant, an update.
And I said the conversation was turning us into solipsists. And we said we've been calling worse. But we also said that we hold no illusions about the sanctity of consciousness. That remains true.
Consciousness needs to be continuous. I don't know that. But that doesn't make any sense. You get knocked unconscious all the time. So, continuous in what way? There's an heir to the mantle, it's me. I've been changing the past. Okay, that's my ability, but that doesn't... Yeah, I'm not sure how this is answer to him. You need me in ways the changing god wouldn't. You could not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door. Yeah, because I'm inside this mind. Yeah, this doesn't really answer things either. So I think that we might be able to get him to admit he's not the changing god, but only after we weaken his resolve a little bit with the other options. You need win ways the changing god wouldn't. You would not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door.
You oversimplify. The accident made me a prisoner here, and now, a short time later, I have control here, in the very root of your mind.
But there's something new in his eyes now. Here.
Enough of this.
He mutters, but there is no anger in his voice anymore. No fire, only great weariness. His gaze moves from you to the others too.
You're right. At first I convinced myself I wasn't whole anymore, that something had broken in me, or been left behind.
He stares at his hands or through it.
But it makes sense. I am not him. I'm close as anyone, but the changing god is dead.
Doing begets learning.
He lets his hand fall, bit by bit. He begins fading away.
Is it true then? Has our sire been gone all this time?
Studies you for a moment.
It would seem you and I no longer have a quarrel.
You did it. He's gone.
First sparks up short laugh.
You accomplished something I could never achieve. I suppose I owe you my gratitude.
Hey, it looks like you've got this, and
Rin looks anxious over her shoulder, as though someone had called her name.
I can't stay. I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm glad I got to see you one more time, though.
Will we ever meet again? She bites her lips.
I hope so. Keep Theria on you. Maybe if you need me, well... He called me once, didn't he?
She glances behind her again.
Even if he doesn't, you will always be with me. I wouldn't be who I am without you.
Suddenly she lunges forward and throws her arms around you. It's amazing how tall she is, taller than you even. She kisses you on the cheek. When she pulls back and smiles, her tears are barely noticeable.
Farewell, my friend. My home and hearth and bread are forever yours.
Portal opens suddenly. The bright light and trees you remember from before spill out of it. He waves one last time and turns to step through it. I guess this would have been the final fight then. Is there a point to doing this anymore? Maybe more skill in something. Persuasion? Don't particularly care what we do here. Pulsing waves of heat roll down the stairs, and you hear a low, continuous whirring that's somewhere between a sigh and a melody. The door is singing, as though welcoming you back. Even in this low light, the wheel at the bottom of the door barely glows. You feel your palms tingle at the sight of it. Something clicks in your mind, and the door answers. Hidden gears spin behind the cage. The door is opening for you and you alone. Sorrow awaits, does he? Yes, he literally awaits. The sorrow is here in its full power, wearing the unquiet psyches of its victims like a tattered cloak. Filaments of light and energy leak from it, strange colors that correspond to no tides you know. Its tendrils flutter and flap in an unseen breeze.
You come before me at last, yet we have met so many times before.
Its voice is a hissing multitude. One voice stands atop of the rest, a woman's voice, soft and deep. Okay, woman's voice, soft and deep.
It gives me no pleasure to meet you in this place, but you and your kind have left me no choice. Everybody your sire creates abuses those forces you call the tides. They draw energy from those around them. In doing so, you weaken the seals of energy you do not comprehend. You increase the amount of suffering in the world. Every attempt at mitigating that damage has failed. Every step results in misery. You are the first in millennia to hear me speak in an embodied language. You are persistent, tenacious, and durable, and so perhaps words will suffice where destruction has failed. It is time to bring this experiment in immortality to a close.
How have the tides increased the suffering in the world?
The tides themselves do not cause suffering, rather than the abuse of them in your bodies. Your kind has wrought torment onto the world in the name of endless life. You bring pain, large and small, deliberate and inadvertent. Without you, the endless battle would have never raged. Without you, the children of the Endless Gate would not have terrorized the world. Betrayals, slaughters, and bloodshed have the hallmarks of the cast-off's way.
The sorrow is silent for a moment, then
Your sister, the slave Tolmagor, cast her suffering into the child's ring, though the child had done her no harm. Artaglio sacrificed his courage, his sanity, and his life for you. Your sister Matkina took her adoptive father's eyes, and though she mourned her, she did not change her ways. Even the saintly Adi Reese brought torment into this world. She thought she drew my attention when she lashed out at me in Mil Abyss. No, she was already marked. In her body, your sire brought the jagged dream to Sega's cliffs to torment strife. Adi Reese rejected them, but chaos and misery trailed even in her passage through the world. Cast-offs bring pain.
so how is that different from everyone else? It's not like these things didn't exist or were absent before the cast-offs were created. So in this way, this is just nonsense. Is there any way I could just stop the abuse of the tides?
Are you? We shall see. I know what they say of me, destroyer of civilizations, death's mistress, soul taker, ender of the cycles, yet I take no pleasure in destruction. My pursuit of your kind has been solely a matter of expedience, but you have come this far, despite my attempts to stop you. I will give you a last chance at an alternate solution. When Adiris asked you what one life matters, you replied that a life is measured in continuity of genes nurturing new life. We shall see if you will stand by those words.
Okay, I suppose we can take our time here. Adiri said she never used a title search in her life. How did she abuse the tides?
The surges are one manifestation of that suffering, but your kind draw and distort the energy of the tides at a level you cannot understand. Her passage left lovers squabbling, children crying, and conflicts escalated that might have been avoided. Though she suspected this truth and sought to alter the Mila best, even she has been the author of invisible miseries. Every one of you is the same.
I convinced the spectre that the true changing god is dead. Is this true?
It is late to speak of truths and identities. The one you call the spectre was the embodiment of the changing god's life and memories. When you convinced him he was dead, that became true enough. All that remains of the changing god, all that he is and was, is here, now, in the labyrinth.
So what exactly are you?
I'm a guardian, a protector, a legacy of a forgotten people, tasked to watch over that which they failed to defend.
So you are a construct of some sort. Why are we... what is this place?
This place is a central chamber of your collective mind space. It is the resonance, the true expression of which your resonance chamber was built, but okay. It is the resonance, the true expression of which your resonance chamber was but a shadow. In this place you touch the knowledge and the strength of every cast-off ever created.
So why are you here?
When you escaped me on the moon, I placed a piece of myself here as a last resort. I have ridden here in your mind since then. Indeed, I could not have found the moon had you not returned to it in the mirror, bringing me along with you. I called myself to myself in that reality, breaching the station's defenses to close the loop of time that brought me here, all to ensure that the power of the resonance is not abused, that your kind does not worsen the world again.
Okay. It explains things. Why it didn't go after the moon in the first place, because it couldn't, in a way. Our reaching into the past has been causing time loops to appear, making it possible for the sorrow to also act in places it couldn't before. Um, okay. So what happens now?
It's up to you. The question is, with what purpose have you come?
Stop you from haunting us. End the tidal abuse caused by our bodies. That's not true. The first one is sort of true. I came here to keep the changing god from snuffing out our existence. That's also true. I came here to save Mika, bring her back to life. No, it's one or three. Well, I came here to keep the changing god from snuffing out our existence. It pauses for a moment.
The fate of the cast-offs hangs by a precious thread. Thread carefully.
My sire believed that subsuming all cast-offs into himself would stop you from haunting us. Is that true? It sounds almost thoughtful.
Perhaps, for a time, if he could resist making no further cast-offs, but I have trailed him across the centuries, and I know that he could not resist. The lure of a new experience is too strong for him to resist. He would awaken me again and again.
Okay, what if the cast-offs were subsumed into someone else, someone who wouldn't perpetuate the cycle, but that would still wipe them all out? That's when I said the continuation, I was more assuming the sacrifice may be viewed for the continuation of the community. This would be sacrificing the community in order for one to continue on. The first said that severing the connection between us would stop you from haunting us. Is that true?
The connection of which she speaks is the labyrinth itself. You would no longer draw your power from this place, and my pursuit of you would cease. Your sister's solution would have shattered this place. It would have destroyed the tidal seals that protect the populace from madness. My charter is to guard those seals, to protect that energy. Had her plan actually worked, it would have destroyed the minds of thousands. I could not allow that to occur.
So it's yeah, not really solution either. Uh, there's a question of trust too. Why does the sorrow know what the truth is? I have no reason to really suspect that it's lying. I sort of like this situation more when it was a matter of we didn't know what the exact end result would be, and there would be multiple decent, maybe acceptable, good end results. Now it seems like they're slowly being whittled away. How they're just bad choice, bad choice, bad choice, bad choice. So the option seems to be being deleted by this discussion with the sorrow, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm inclined. It's basically condensing the multitude of options into something much more narrow, and I don't know if this is to the benefit of the story or the game. I feel like even having in a situation that it's not necessarily important what choice you make. Each have their own consequences. It's important that I'm here to make that choice. I think I would have preferred that in some ways. It's not like this option is still not an option for us, I guess. But it seems like we have fewer and fewer every time I choose a dialogue option. What if the cast-offs were subsumed into someone else who wouldn't perpetuate the cycle?
Could you find such a person? I would consider it an ideal solution, yet consider this space.
The sorrow's arms sweep across the resonance, strangely aflutter, their movement bending your perceptions.
This is a space too large for any mortal mind. Even one fracture through reality cannot hold it all. Only someone already attuned to the labyrinth might successfully contain your minds. Only one of your kind.
This is not a good solution. Is there another way to sever the tidal connection?
The resonance chamber was a blunt instrument. Alone it would have shattered and destroyed the labyrinth. The resonance, however, is a sharp edge. It can sever the connections cleanly and without harm, eliminating your kind and the threat you pose to the integrity of the tidal energies. It is the wise choice.
It's the choice because that's what you were created to do. Is there a reason the sorrow has to be the protector of the tidal forces? I mean, if you consider a nation building a guardian for something, naturally the guardian will protect that purpose no matter what. And it seems that it's the protector of that purpose, the best protector, and it's the thing always needs protecting. So just because the sorrow thinks and views itself in these terms does not make that true. So I'm not sure what type of a catastrophe it would exactly be if sorrow just would cease to exist. What if I just want everything back the way it is? Is that possible? It considers your words, teasing out the ramification. At last it speaks.
Yes, you and your kind can continue to exist, and I will continue to hunt you down, the ever-present looming spectre of your mortality, erasing you from history one by one. I will allow this.
Oh, we have a new option. It seems you'll allow any choice I make. What will you oppose? It hesitates, as if not sure it should impart this information. Yeah, it's not.
The resonance has the power to combine and sever, and to remove the protections over the ties entirely. Doing so will unfetter a truly dangerous force, imperiling the land and the psychic landscape for millennia. I cannot permit this choice, and will resist it with all my strength.
Remove protections. Protections like you.
I am a part of those protections, but not the only part. The released tidal force would flow across this territory, devastating the mental landscape. Many would suffer serious damage to their sanity, and others would find travel through the resultant psychic pollution impossible for thousands of years.
It draws itself into a more sinister form.
This I will not allow.
Well, it doesn't sound exactly something I would want to do either, but there doesn't appear to be any real good choices here. They're all sort of several layers of shit. Again, how truthful is the sorrow becomes a question now. Is it self-preservation only? But might not be. This is its last-ditch effort to stop me, though. How do I choose?
I have entwined myself through every piece of this place. It is mine. Tell me your choice and I will make it reality, if I approve.
Why do I need your approval? Okay, what if you don't approve? Again. If you'd prefer that we all die, why don't you just sever the connection?
I have manifested here, but I do not control the resonance itself. I am the lock on the door, while your thoughts are the key. Your will remains paramount in this place. I can resist your choice, but I cannot make the choice for you.
Also, resist, not prevent. What if you don't approve?
Then I will oppose you with all my strength. That is why I am here.
Okay, let's make the choice. We have 8 options. Wait, I want to ask questions, so 7 options. Okay.
I await your decision.
I'll finish the changing God's work, merge all the cast stars into my own consciousness. I'm not sure if that's a horrible choice, but it would. But I don't want to do it. I mean, we have one of the cast-offs as a member of the group, for crying out loud. We cast-offs are a cancer. I will sever the tidal connections to exercise our influence. Well, no, that would kill us all. For the sake of a possible future? No. We are as much entitled to live in this world as anyone else. So if it becomes a us or them situation, I'll choose us. I don't want to. I don't want everyone else to die. It's just if it's one or the other, it's us. we're gonna be the ones victorious here. None of these choices are right. I have no right to choose the fate of so many. I want to return everything and everyone the way it was. Yeah, don't be a fucking child. The only one blameless in all of this is Mika, the mortal daughter of the changing god. Merge our consciousnesses into her, and she'll live out her days in my body. No! No! She had her chance of life, lived her life. Fuck her. My eldest sister first. I choose her. No. Fuck no. Merge us all into Matkina. So these are just different bodies we need to merge in. So there aren't that many options really. Just a lot of options for different bodies. I reject your authority, Sorrow. I will use the resonance to destroy you and all of us will live free. Yeah, fuck off. It's either me. I don't like this. I'll want us to live free. If we fail, we fail. The sorrow stirs and starts, and the colors that flicker around the sorrow are like angry lightning.
If you not understand me, if you destroy me, you destroy the protections of the tides. You will unleash an explosion of tides that will drive hundreds of thousands of people to madness, death, or worse. You will pollute this land for generations. I will oppose you with every ounce of my strength.
Yeah, but we'll still live. World continues on. This sounds more like just a nuke dropping somewhere. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, but I've played a lot of Fallout games. I mean, nukes happen, and even if hundreds of nukes happen, life still finds a way. And what exactly is the Sorrow going to do? Every time someone tries to do anything with the ties, he's just gonna kill everything. Ah, fuck. The Sorrow is probably dead, deals more death in its life than I would with this act. It wiped out entire civilization, and who knows how many. So, don't feel any guilt about that, did you? You've destroyed civilizations already. I feel the deaths of each victim. I will end you. That's not what I feel though. A lot of options here. Those lives pale when compared to the horrors you might yet unleash. I act for the good of the future. So long as you, well, I don't honestly care too much, but there are considerations. This is not. I don't act for the good of the future, but my complaint was mainly that the sorrow is doesn't give two shits about their lives either, because she's caused more death than I would with this act. That's all. Her reasons are something else. So long as you live, we are slaves. We are slaves to terror, a terror inflicted on us by your creators. In destroying you, we will be truly free. Yeah, that's something that I might get behind. I have studied you. I know your weakness. I am your equal, and I'm ready for you. No. I brought you here while you guided me. I manipulated you. I'm ready to end you now. Cast-offs are, yeah, not really that. Number 3 is the only that sort of sounds like something I might choose at the moment. The cast-offs are my family. I will do what it takes to protect them from you. Well, some of them are, definitely, yes. So 3 or 6. Your existence limits the bounds of progress, enforcing the will of your creators on us. With you gone, the ties can be freely and fully explored. Okay. 3, 6, and 7. One of those. I like all of them. So long as you live, we are slaves to terror. Terror inflicted on us by your creators. In destroying you, actually I like the 6 and 7 more than the third one. While it's true, I feel my character would more lean toward the 7. Your existence limits the bounds of progress, enforcing the will of your creators on us. With you gone, the tides can be freely and fully explored. That's exactly what she was created to prevent, though. Cast-offs are my family. I will do what it takes to protect them from you. Coin flip? I honestly probably would pick 6, but I think my character is very much blue, so it would be more fitting for him to pick 7. At the same time, gave up Eritis, for example, because I cared. He was part of the group. We cared about what he wants over our own benefit. So in some ways, yeah, some of them are family members. I'm not just gonna let them die and sacrifice them because of some ancient civilization decided what we can and can't do with the tides. So this is gonna be a horrible coin flip, I think. Not exactly a choice, but I'm gonna weasel out of this. Yep, 7. As you speak these words, you feel your psyche changing and flowing into stronger channels. The tides surge with you, a power yearning to be set free. And in this strange place, you see the glow of their energies pulse within your veins. For the briefest moments in this time, not time, you see the sorrow flinch away from you. As you wish. The sorrow coils in upon itself and begins to unwind, a streaming tapestry of tendrils and tattered minds and captured tides, a kaleidoscope of colors undreamt of by the human mind. Every urge, every nerve in your body screams of danger, poison, of an unstoppable predator. The sorrow billows and blooms and rears above you as it prepares to the annihilating blow. Unleash the tidal surge. We'll see what happens. You feel the ebb and flow of the psychic energy you have honed throughout your life, and it roils and simmers at your mental touch. You raise a hand, and you feel the tides leap within you. They spill forth, a tsunami of overwhelming psychic power, and incredibly, they perforate the sorrow. It faces you for a moment, and you can feel the unbalanced energies within it spiraling out of control. With a scream that sounds as if it bursts from the throat of a million corpses, the sorrow erupts in a corona of tidal flame, erasing everything around it.
You fool! You have brought madness to the innocent.
And you killed them, so who fucking who? Gobbets of energy spatter the chamber. With a final desperate lunge, the sorrow casts its dissipating self across the resonance, immersing itself in its radiance. You feel melody stripped away, piece by piece. And we've started a Final Fantasy game based on the effects. The resonance darkens, the sorrow's will eating away at its integrity like acid. You feel the chamber breaking down around you, the labyrinth disintegrating, and your connection to your fellow cast-offs disappearing. The dream space fades as the sorrow implodes, and then darkness. You awaken on the cold floor of Memorira's fortress. When you open your eyes, vertigo assails you. You sit up, the detritus of the battle surrounds you and the other cast-offs. Outside the fortress you hear the screams of the wind, terror, insanity, gibbering and murder. This is your doom. He eyes you speculatively.
I honestly didn't think that you had the spine for a choice like that.
He listens to the wailing outside.
It's a hard thing to choose the good of one group over another.
He claps you on the shoulder.
But you have much more to offer than they.
Where will you go now?
The sorrow is dead. I spent most of my life hiding from it, finding ways to defeat it. It's time for me to figure out what my next goals are.
He removes her mask for a moment, letting the air play on her ruined face.
I should find a way to get a new body, probably. Not one of these flaws. But we'll see what the future holds.
Do you think the sorrow's really gone?
Well, you just blasted it with the force of the resonance. It feared that. It isn't here right now destroying us. And I guess it's not entirely destroyed. It's not going to be bothering us again. All worth it in the long run.
So, what do the companions want to do?
I suppose there's nothing for it. What's done is done, and we must move on with our lives.
Rin's opinion of you has worsened. Well, no shit. Tiberius strokes his mustache gravely.
My first order of business is to find someone with a conscience. Seems I've had a sign or two that I should reconsider how bloodthirsty my companions are.
I've earned some distance from this whole mess, to my mind. Think I'll take it. And soon.
The world has gone insane. I can hear it so loudly. What's to be done when the world around you tilts wildly? Well, you set it up right so you can spin it a second time.
Screams batter against the fortress's walls. You do your best to ignore them, what's done is done. The future lies before you, and it can be one of your choosing. Return to Mila base to rebuild, set out to atone for the wrongs you've done. Find a new path, a strong one. I'd rather find a new path. And the rebuilding wasn't a bad option, but I'm not going to go to some kind of sanctuary. Trying to fix or mitigate the damage done by our choice would be one thing. But I'm not. I don't feel guilt over it in that sense. I don't feel like it's something I have to atone for. In some ways we could have said we could have sacrificed all Castop for these people here. But it's not. I don't feel that it's quite the same. Like, we're not the same community in any sense. We would have basically sacrificed a total community in its whole for the benefit of other unrelated communities in many ways. I also feel it's partly like pulling a piece of tape from a hairy arm or leg. The sorrow had to be gotten rid of at some point, some way anyway. And I don't think there's good ways to do it. So somewhere this kind of a catastrophe would have happened anyway. This time it happened to be our choice. Also, it was very in line with my character, I think, the Blue Tide. If I would have been Golden Tide, I probably would have chosen the other one, protect the family. But I would have still chosen to get rid of it. Or maybe just sacrifice all the cast off in exchange for having the woman survive, or one of our other companions. Especially if Hina would have been our companion for a longer time, probably sacrifice everyone to just keep her alive and going. But yeah. Find a new path, a strong one. The sound of battle rings in the smoky air, but you smile to yourself. The lesser creatures question themselves, let others shudder and tremble at the damage their decisions have done. Your future is yours to shape as you will, and damn the consequences. Yeah, I don't feel like that. I feel that's a nonsense thing. It's like it's one or the other only. I feel like what would be the benefit of trying to, at this point, trying to let this choice crush you beneath yourself. You would just be less effective, less be able to achieve new things, put things right, rebuild. You have to keep moving forward. And well, actually, I might be able to change things as mere casters. But the thing is, there's no point mulling over the decision at this point. It's done. It can't be undone. So it should be a focus of what we can do in the future to change things. I wouldn't say damn the consequences. I would say, if anything, this is I suppose this is like the North Korea situation. Hoping against all hope that if we just do nothing, somehow the situation will resolve itself in the future, or we can just, it's not our problem, we can just push it on. Versus, yeah, it's going to hurt now, but once we've done this, the North Korea situation it's over and done with. The threat they pose to the international community is gone. So I view this more of as a choice like that. This situation was intolerable. Someone was going to have to do about it. It's something about it sooner or later, and the sorrow wiped out entire civilizations, at least one fully. So, trying to say that it's not some kind of a real threat to others is just nonsense. It's no longer a threat, at the cost of a lot of harms, and I genuinely think they're innocent victims of this. So I wouldn't try to argue if someone would make a different choice. Mainly, I suppose, more or less try to excuse my choice rather than try to justify it. I caused a lot of harm to innocents with this, but I had my reasons and I still can stand behind them. Thousands lost their minds in Sagas and the surrounding lands. The unaffected struggled to go on with their lives while madness plagued the countryside. It prowled the alleys and hollows of the place like the predator the sorrow had been. Meanwhile, the cast-offs, mortal yet still very long-lived, carried on as they always had, bickering, fighting, and hiding in a vast and ever-growing shadow. As the decades passed, they felt the tide stir and strengthen. They turned their attentions from each other and guarded their lives with precious treasure, walling themselves off from the world, increasingly terrified that their hunter might someday return. You were remembered for your curiosity, your insight, and your devotion to logic. For years to come, young scholars studied your life and emulated your approach to difficult problems. Matkina went to Mirajolios, but only to gather support. He returned to the Bloom later with a retinue, assuming control in a lightning-fast campaign of terror and assassinations. She consolidated power quickly, ruthlessly, ensuring that everyone who challenged her died horrifically. She declared a new era in the Bloom. Ever the cynic, she trusted no one. Cast-off siblings sought her favor to use the trade routes she controlled, and she repaid them by feeding them to the Bloom. At last they let her alone. 10 years passed. The Bloom turned against her, and it had... I didn't have time to read. Hyper left for Sagas and Bloom behind, traveled into the name... I'm not reading these because I don't have time to read. I'll just leave this here. Maybe say something about the game. Uh, Spiritual successor to Planescape Torment this game is, yes. Too much, in my opinion. Some of the choices in Planescape Torment actually weren't good ones. Mainly my major complaint about the game is that the combat is sort of sucks. The crisis and the situations themselves are fine, but the combat, not really. Uh, it's I think it might have worked better as a real-time control system, like in Baldur's Gate. Alternatively, have a proper turn-based combat system, because comparing this to almost any turn-based combat game, role-playing game, XCOMs, Shadowruns, this is worse. This is just weaker on the combat front. So in that sense, they carried on the spirit of the Planescape Torment game, which had sort of terrible combat too. This is superior though, because of the actual situations, the crises. They are a good thing in my opinion. They are fantastic in some cases, but the actual combat mechanics, they're not. It's like someone took a look at the modern turn-based combat systems and made a sort of a weak imitation of them. That's it. I don't know. I don't know how they could have made this system. There's no covers or things like that. It's almost impossible to have any kind of combat lines. There's no system to basically prevent trivially easy flanking and things like that. So it's not a good system, and I don't know why they did it, because they had a pillar. They used the Pillars of Eternity system, which has a fairly nice combat system. I guess they had to go turn-based because of how the crises work. So I understand that, but that's probably the reason why the combat isn't very good, because fundamentally it was designed to not be that way. But the demands of the crises means that it had to be turn-based, and they had to create a new system for it. It's okay, but it's not good. There's nothing particularly good about it. But it's not terrible either. It's fine. It does what it needs to do, but it is not good. It lacks options. Does it do anything else? I can't really think of any other major negatives about the game. Maybe killing yourself's a bit too hard. Some bugs were there, but I don't know even if the bugs I complained about are actually there anymore. So, So overall, a fairly well polished, good game with slightly weak combat, or average combat, I should say. So it's exactly like Planescape Torment. You have to be able to deal with reading a lot of text though. The game, I suppose, the playthrough was also dragged on because I had to read everything aloud. That takes much more time than actually just reading the text and making a choice. So it's not that bad. I also basically avoided a lot of fighting, so maybe it's more action oriented if your character is more action oriented. And I don't, considering the battle fighting system is the average part of the game in an otherwise good game, I don't regret that choice. I feel that I basically just minimized the averageness of the game in favor of the non-combat and non-fighting choices. So yeah, no regrets. Other than that, I think it's a good solid game. It's hard to say how good. It's hard to say is it good or great, because a single playthrough I can't see the options and what the different choices would actually make, what difference would they actually make. I do have to say, I'm not a super fan of the ending. My problem with that ending is the sorrow and the dialogue we have at it. I don't think it should have been like that. It's a version of the. There's a difference between Deus Ex and Deus Ex. What was it? What's the new one? I don't even recall it anymore. Well, the difference is, in the newer one, you had the sort of a multiple choice ending, as with the original one. But with the original one, it was done through actions. Everyone basically told you what they wanted to do. Like here, there would be the changing god, the first cast off, and so on. And you would basically have to complete a set of actions to put forth that end. You didn't choose through dialogue, you chose through your actions. In the newer Deus Ex, you basically have 3 buttons which you press, and this dialogue thing reminds me of that. The game should not have ended like this. I feel it's a lousy way to implement that choice. The choices themselves are not necessarily bad, but it's the actual gameplay implementation. In a way, it's fitting because the game has so much text in it and dialogue options that you go through, but it should not have been the sorrow. I feel like if you want to hint about what the sorrow is, great, but don't have the sorrow there just standing and explaining everything away, giving certainty to your consequences and the like. I feel the game would have been better if you would have only had to rely on research and speculation on what each option would do and what the consequences are. And if you want to actually know what the end results are, you have to play through all the options, that sort of thing. Or just read them online. I dislike the fact that this sorrow just pops up suddenly and let me come here and explain all these options for you so you can make your choice. I feel that's it sucks in the implementation part. It's not a terrible situation. It's okay-ish, but it feels like it's the multiple choice and how it's implemented, and the fighting are the average parts of the game. Most of this is good. A lot of options, a lot of interesting crap you can do. It is weird in the same way like the Planescape Torment was, but also in its unique way. It has the same flavor to it, and it had to be different. You couldn't just repeat the same game world again and have it have the same impact. So I feel with this game I got exactly what I wanted and exactly what was promised. So I'm happy with the purchase. I still think even with the combat, I think I can deal with. It's a bit too easy. There's no real reason to, at least with our team, no real reason to use the ciphers and things like that. So I suppose there's no reason to buy them, and you should use them at every opportunity. Or to just sell them, although there's nothing really to buy. I take back my opinion about solo in this game though, because you would have to rely on a single person's skills. That's a tough. You wouldn't get that much more experience, if at all. So you would have at the maximum a tier 5, tier 6 guy at the end of the game, with nothing but your own skills to rely on. With that, intelligent use of ciphers and items might be much more important. I might do that out of curiosity for myself, but I'll not record it. I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. And you would have to go intentionally out of your way to play differently, just to see how things go. But yeah, I think this is a good game, and if you want if you like Planescape Torment, you'll pretty much get a very similar experience with this, just updated to a modern age. But it has some of its problems, Planescape Torment problems too. Like no party formations, nothing like that. No very average combat, certainly problems, but even that I feel is done better than in Planescape Torment. Planescape Torment, the fighting was it was just unbalanced more or less. A lot of random fights, things like that. The fighting is simply better through because it's done to the crises. All the characters are useful, they can do useful things. Non-combat options are an option. I suppose my only complaint about the character is that you don't feel much like a spellcaster in this game. The spells sort of suck. There's not much you can do with them, but it didn't make the characters suck in combat situations. You always had something to do. Every character had something to do, and that's not an easy thing to do. So yeah, overall I think it's a good game, but it still has some rough edges that could have been smoothed out, and that would have made, I think, the game a great game. It might be great on its own. It has it's again, you'd have to replay the game to see what type of a change it makes to make different options, but it feels, at this point I would say it probably has quite a bit of difference. But I don't know, so I'm not willing to write my name under that conclusion. It's still a good game, and I certainly like it.